9 forgotten World War II cooking hacks that worked with no stove, no oil, and no firewood. Before we go any further, do make sure you subscribe to the channel and leave a comment sharing which era of wartime survival fascinates you the most. This channel is built for people who take history seriously, and your engagement really helps keep this kind of deep, research-driven content alive. During the Second World War, millions of civilians and soldiers were forced to solve a problem most modern people never have to think about: how to prepare food when there is no stove, no oil, no firewood, and, quite often, no ability to create smoke without risking detection. These were not clever camp tricks or novelty ideas. These were survival systems developed under bombing, occupation, rationing, and constant threat. Many of them have been forgotten not because they were ineffective, but because modern convenience made them unnecessary. Today, they deserve another look, not as curiosities, but as proven methods that still work under extreme conditions. The first lesson wartime kitchens taught was that heat does not always require flame. In occupied Europe and across the Pacific, people learned quickly that open fire meant danger. One of the most widespread solutions was body heat fermentation and slow chemical warming. Soldiers carried food close to their bodies, especially protein pastes, grain mash, or soaked legumes wrapped in cloth. Over several hours, the warmth of the human body, combined with natural enzymes, softened and partially broke down food, making it digestible and safer. Civilians used the same method by placing sealed containers under bedding or near livestock. In modern survival terms, this technique can be applied by soaking cracked grains or beans in water and keeping them against your body for an entire day, producing food that requires no cooking and minimal energy to digest. Soldiers learned that time could replace fire when pressure cooking was impossible. Extended soaking was elevated to a science during the war. Dried foods were often soaked for days, not hours. Wheat berries, barley, lentils, and even dried potatoes were submerged and kept sealed to prevent spoilage. Over time, the cell walls broke down enough to allow consumption without cooking. In prisoner camps, this method was sometimes combined with grinding soaked grains between stones to create a paste. Today, this applies directly to long-term food storage strategies. If you have dried staples and water, you can make them edible with patience alone, something rarely discussed in modern preparedness circles. Acid was used as a silent cooking tool when fuel disappeared. Vinegar, fermented fruit juices, and sour milk were used to denature proteins without heat. Fish, thin strips of meat, and wild plants were submerged in acidic liquids for extended periods, producing a safe, chewable food similar to ceviche. This was common in coastal regions, under blockade where firewood was unavailable or restricted. A practical application today would involve using vinegar or citrus to prepare thinly sliced protein sources when cooking is impossible. The chemistry has not changed, only our reliance on appliances has. Wartime cooks rediscovered how mechanical processing replaces heat. Grinding, pounding and shredding food dramatically reduces the energy needed to digest it. During the Second World War, people used hand mills, stones, rifle butts, and even helmets to pulverize grains and roots. Once reduced to fine particles, foods were mixed with water or milk substitutes and eaten raw. This was not desperation, it was efficiency. Modern survivalists can actually replicate this with basic tools, turning hard, uncooked staples into digestible meals without expending precious calories on fire production. Underground fermentation became a sort of hidden kitchen during bombings and curfews. In cities, under constant air raids, families buried jars of food in cellars or earth pits. Natural fermentation occurred at stable underground temperatures. Vegetables, grains, and even meat scraps were preserved and partially cooked by bacteria. These foods provided calories, probiotics, and extended shelf life without fuel. The same principle applies today with simple earth storage or insulated containers, allowing food transformation without any external energy input. Solar exposure was quietly exploited, even in northern climates. Even weak sunlight can soften and warm food over time. During the war, civilians placed thin foods on dark surfaces near windows, roofs, or rubble piles where heat accumulated. This was never fast, but it worked. Over several hours, fats softened, starches gelatinized a bit, and moisture evaporated. In a modern context, placing food in sealed containers on dark materials under sunlight can, in fact, raise temperatures enough to change texture and palatability without a flame. Milk substitutes became chemical kitchens of their own. Powdered milk, when available, was mixed with water and allowed to sour intentionally. The resulting lactic acid broke down other foods mixed into it. This method softened grains, vegetables, and even dried meat fibers. Modern equivalents include yogurt or kefir cultures used without heat to transform otherwise inedible ingredients. The final and really most overlooked lesson was ration pairing, not cooking. Wartime nutritionists and civilians learned that combining foods strategically mattered more than actually cooking them. Fats were eaten with raw starches to slow digestion. Acidic foods were paired with tough proteins. Sugars were consumed before heavy labour. These combinations reduced the need for cooking entirely. This remains one of the most relevant lessons for modern survival planning. These were not improvisations born of ignorance. They were informed, repeatable systems developed under the harshest conditions imaginable. They worked then, and they work now. If this kind of deep historical survival knowledge matters to you, do consider subscribing to the channel. Share this video with others who care about real history and, well, leave a comment with the wartime topic you want explored next. This is how we keep forgotten knowledge alive.